Just 62 days until the US election, and it's the end of the Labor Day weekend, which observers say marks a phase when more voters begin to really start paying attention to what's happening on the election trail. This as we enter the final critical leg of that race. Now, Harris plans to campaign this week in New Hampshire and Pennsylvania. Later in the week, Trump heads to Wisconsin. Both candidates have doubled down in battleground states. On Monday, Harris was at a joint event with Joe Biden, capitalizing on the president's image as Union Joe. They are targeting unionized blue-collar workers who make up a large portion of key voters in certain swing states.
It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title.
Weeks after announcing his historic decision to step away from the presidential race, Joe Biden has now fully embraced the role of a Kamala Harris campaigner. The duo tried to woo working-class voters at an event at a local union hall in Pittsburgh on Monday. Biden said that there is only one choice as far as the U.S. presidential race is concerned: Kamala Harris.
The first decision I made, the nominee in 2020, was selecting her as my vice president. And by the way, it was the single best decision I made as president of the United States of America.
Reports say that it is Biden's carefully crafted return to the campaign trail as he shifts from candidate to surrogate mode. According to reports, Biden's advisors in the last few weeks have been going over what his plans on the campaign trail will entail. Biden will visit Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Michigan over the next 5 days. All three are blue wall states where he beat former President Donald Trump in 2020 by a thin margin. Reports suggest that Biden will be promoting the Democratic Party's popular agenda items during these visits. The president is expected to spend a substantial amount of time in Pennsylvania, the state where he was born. Reports say that his allies are hoping that his political influence in the state can help Harris. During his visit to the state, the 81-year-old did not waste any time in vouching for Harris.
I promise you, if you elect Kamala Harris as president, it'll be the best decision you will have ever made.
Interestingly, ever since ending his campaign, Biden has seen a small uptick in his approval ratings. Whether this influences Harris's approval ratings remains to be seen. Historically, a vice president running for the Oval Office has almost always benefited when the incumbent president has a good approval rating. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
Kamala Harris used that joint campaign appearance in Pittsburgh with President Joe Biden to say that U.S. steel should remain domestically owned. This is a major policy position for the vice president, which coincides with the White House's earlier position to the company's planned sale to Nippon Steel of Japan. Harris says U.S. steel should remain American-owned and American-operated. This view is similar to Biden's view, who opposed the sale.
The first decision I made, the nominee in 2020, was selecting her as my vice president. And by the way, it was the single best decision I made as president of the United States of America. I promise you, if you elect Kamala Harris as president, it'll be the best decision you will have ever made.
We will continue to strengthen America's manufacturing sector. And on that point, the president mentioned it. U.S. Steel is an historic American company. And it is vital for our nation to maintain strong American steel companies. And I couldn't agree more with President Biden. U.S. Steel should remain American-owned and American-operated. And I will always have the back of America's steel workers. America's workers.
The Trump campaign will keep up its momentum in key swing states in the coming days. This as the former president defends himself in the aftermath of an incident at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia last week, while Harris drummed up support amongst blue-collar voters on Labor Day. Trump kept a relatively low profile in the run-up to next week's debate. Meanwhile, the Republican candidate continues to fight off backlash surrounding the Arlington Cemetery controversy, where he paid a visit to the gravesite of military personnel who died in Afghanistan. Trump has maintained that his staffers were blameless, pointing instead to Biden's many failings during the U.S. withdrawal of Afghanistan. A cemetery worker was reportedly shoved by a Trump employee at the gravesite, and Trump is also under fire for taking pictures in a part of the cemetery where political campaigning is banned under federal law.